keep this historical factoid in mind, please. Massachusetts used to be Republican up until 1956. That was the year, by the way, that Tip O'Neill became the Speaker of the House. It can be done, it should be done, and I am certain it will be done. Barry Greenspan will come up here for a short bit, and I will come back.
If you look at the verse, one of the authors is in the room here. Peter? Peter has held elected office in 2 different states. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you were a city councilman in New Jersey somewhere and in your hometown of Gloucester, Mass. And this book he's written, We the People, which is was in 2004 it was written. That's about the time I first met Peter. And it's still relevant today. Maybe he'd want to say a few words about the book. Peter?
Look, we've all heard about Obama politics, but this book is subtitled Conservative Populism. We're mostly conservative here, I hope so. I am. And we need a populist politics, which is Republican, to rebuild from the ground up the grassroots, the precinct and ward level, the local level. That's what rebuilding the party would take, and that's why the book is still timely. It's Obama politics without Obama policy.
Peter, thank you.
At this time, I'd like to bring back Yasmin to the podium, to the microphone, and she will sing the battle hymn of the Republic for us. So one more time, Yasmin.
Hi, once again, I'm Yasmin, and I'm going to be singing Battle Hymn of the Republic, and mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He hath loosed the fateful lightning of his terrible swift sword. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. I have seen him in the watchfires of 100 circling camps. They have builded him an altar in the evening dews and damps. I can read his righteous sentence by the dim and flaring lamps. His day is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on.
Wasn't that beautiful? 12 years old, ladies and gentlemen. Charlie Baker, President and CEO of Harvard-Pilgrim, one of New England's leading nonprofit health plans, as you all probably know. Probably few or many of you belong to it. Under Charlie's leadership, Harvard-Pilgrim has finished first, I believe, in the past 4 years consecutively in the country in terms of clinical effectiveness and patient satisfaction. Effectiveness and satisfaction being, I think, the key words, which is something that we sorely need in this state: effectiveness and satisfaction. Charlie possesses a master's degree in management and public administration, as well as a bachelor, I believe, in English literature from Harvard University. Charlie has served the citizens of the Commonwealth during the Weld and Cellucci administrations for 8 years, and if I'm not mistaken, and I could be mistaken, the first stint as the Secretary of Administration and Finance, and then as Secretary of Health and Human Services. I'd like to think that Charlie is a potential candidate to replace Deval Patrick, although I will let him say that. Because if Charlie can bring to the state, rather, half of what he brought to Harvard Pilgrim, I think we are all going to be well served. Ladies and gentlemen, Charlie Baker, President and CEO of Harvard Pilgrim.
First of all, I want you, it'd be interesting to see how many of you are standing when I'm done. Let me just start by commenting a little bit on Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. And by the way, I appreciate very much the opportunity to be here today, and I especially appreciate the opportunity to talk about Abraham Lincoln, who I think in many ways was beyond a doubt the right guy in the right place at the right time. And when you look back at the history that led to his nomination for President of the United States in 1860, and the path that he took to get there, and the fact that he ultimately won was a split election between 4 or 5 candidates, all of which were representing sort of different parts of the country and different points of view and perspectives. It's kind of hard to see if there wasn't some kind of a plan involved to put that guy in that place at that time. But on the day he gave that Gettysburg Address, it was in July. Has anybody been? I've been to Gettysburg in July. My parents took me there when I was a kid, specifically because they wanted us to be in Gettysburg at about the time that battle was fought. The battle was fought July 4th weekend, interestingly enough, in 1863. Anybody been to Gettysburg in July? Okay, so how hot was it when you were there? It was 100 degrees on the day we were there, and the humidity was about 150. And you could barely, it was baking hot. And the reason my parents wanted us to see Gettysburg in July was to get a full appreciation for just what it was like to fight that battle at that time. Remember, there was no such thing as synthetic fabrics. Most of the combatants were wearing wool uniforms. There were not a lot of motorized or mechanized devices for moving around any of your artillery or your cannon or any of your weaponry, so all of that was done basically in sleds and horses. Am I sort of getting the picture across? I mean, this was really tough stuff. And then over the course of the battle, as was mentioned by good old Abe there in the back, I hope you like what I have to say, pal, you had 33,000 people who died, many of whom had not even been carted away or buried at the point that Lincoln showed up to give that address. So we're talking about a very hot, really difficult, extraordinary period in U.S. history at which Edward Everett stood up there and talked for 2 hours in the baking sun, with the battlefields, for the most part, still covered with dead animals, blood, and carnage from the battle that had been fought there several days before. And there was no such thing as one of these. So when Lincoln gave his remarks, he was basically speaking to an audience of thousands on his own with no mechanism to throw his voice and his words across the land. And yet everybody remembers to this day